off the cliff.
Hi, it's Megan McKeefery. I'm here with the Alliance for American Manufacturing. Today I am in Eufaula, Alabama. I'm here speaking with John Beesley, the Director of Support Services for the Eufaula City Schools. Hi, John.
Megan, how are you?
Great, thank you. And I want to start off by thanking you for taking some time out of your busy afternoon. I know it's Friday and the weekend's here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and discuss a little bit about your community and what's happening.
Certainly, it's our pleasure to be here.
First of all, could you tell me how long you've lived in the community for?
We've lived here just short of 21 years.
Okay.
Have 4 children who have been active in the community, and it's a great place to raise children, and that's one of the reasons we decided to stay as long as we have. So.
Great. So here in Eufaula, could you tell me what you do with the school system?
I wear a lot of hats, primarily human resources, personnel, manage the purchasing and bidding of products, pretty much everything we buy. I'm involved with that. Also manage the career tech programs.
Great. Could you tell me a little bit, since you've lived here for so long, could you tell me, have you noticed any changes in the community since you've been here as far as manufacturing, just the job market in general?
The job market in general today is down from where it was 21 years ago. Of course, that would be the case nationwide, I think, and to some extent even beyond our nation's boundaries. The manufacturing sector has taken a hard hit as the economy has downturned, and we've lost some manufacturing jobs. We've lost some timber-related jobs that are big to our community. So it is a little different than it was 21 years ago.
And can you tell me, speaking of the paper industry, you have a pretty large mill in this area?
We do, yes. Mead, West Vaco, is just north of our city limits.
Okay. Could you tell me, do you know offhand what that relationship is with the community, the school district, and the mill? Is it a fairly good working relationship?
Yes. Mead has several programs and has had several programs down through the years that have directly impacted the schools. Their volunteer program being one where they match hours volunteered in our schools with cash donated back to the schools, which is a real shot in the arm in this time in particular. There have been various twists on that kind of program down through the years. I know when I first came to Eufaula in the late 80s, everybody talked about the Mead money that we get, and that was allowed us to do a lot of the extras for our children. So it's a big deal to us.
Now, do you know offhand, as far as in the schools, are there a lot of families that the parents or guardian work at the mill and their children attend the schools here?
There are. I could not quote an exact number, but I know a lot of the families that work at Mead, one or both of the parents work at Mead, have children or have had children in our schools down the years. So.
Yeah, great. Could you tell me a little bit, if something were to happen, if we had some layoffs over at that Mead plant, if several people were laid off, if not the whole place, worst case scenario, had to face a shutdown, do you think that there's unemployment opportunities in this area for those 600 plus workers, including the ripple down effect?
No, it would be pretty tough. As I mentioned earlier, the manufacturing sector here has taken a pretty hard hit, and the jobs are just not there for folks were we to lose Mead or part of or all of Mead, and then the trickle down would be pretty tough as well. It would definitely impact our enrollment. We're funded based on enrollment from the state and federal government, so that would be impacted. We would have to lose staff, so we couldn't afford to pay them. So it would, it just would snowball for us.
Yeah. You said you work in purchasing a little bit, and I know that a lot of state budgets, school districts city councils and whatnot, they're all faced with a budget shortage right now where they're forced to make decisions, by choosing what services to provide to the school and what equipment to purchase. And oftentimes people like to buy the cheaper product when faced with this tough budget. But could you explain the importance of what it would mean to put American companies first, or buying American?
Generally speaking, there's a quality issue associated with where things are originate. When we buy we use a large quantity of copy paper. Mead is one of our preferred manufacturers on that, as a matter of fact, and we hadn't talked about that earlier. In the bids, we bid that. It was such a large quantity, we'll do 2 bids a year generally, and we specify American made only, and then go into some more detailed specifications. So yes, there's a quality issue that sometimes we can't sacrifice. The machines that we run paper through, making copies or booklets or brochures or pamphlets, will not run as they're designed to on that lower grade of product. So
I remember we were talking a little bit before this interview about the paper trade case that's going on right now in Washington. The 3 paper companies that are involved, along with the United Steelworkers, and none of those companies have mills down here in Alabama or your area. And while you do have a paper facility here, it's not being targeted in this specific trade case. But I'm looking to find out, how do you think that this town could become affected if, years down the road, these countries start targeting your industry? Do you think that you guys would be in trouble? Do you think that's a possibility, that they would start targeting a different type of paper?
It's always a possibility. You never say never. If there's a dollar involved, somebody's going to go after it. Thus, we've got to stay on our toes to make sure that we're doing everything we can as a community to protect our jobs. This town has been here a long time, since the 1800s, early 1800s. I think the community would still be here. The town would still be here. Would it look the same as it does today? No. It would obviously have to look much different. Retail would change. It would all change. So.
Okay, great. And then my final question is, if you had the power to speak to those in Washington, coming directly from the community that could be affected, with the paper industry down the road, what would you ask them to consider so that we make sure that this doesn't happen? We can make sure to see the community here in Eufaula continue to be prosperous and the schools continue to be great.
Level the playing field would be the big thing, and I guess just a very short, maybe cliche way to say it would be to do whatever you have to do to protect the American way of life, because that's really what we're talking about.
Okay. Great. Well, I want to thank you again for taking some time to talk with me. It's been great, and I think that this is very meaningful.
Sure.
So thank you.